So yesterday I made a video about how I think Hamza and other self-help gurus are wrong when they say that freedom for freedom's sake should be like the ultimate attainment of masculinity, and that a real man has like passive income and can travel the world and can use his time exactly how he wants and is just completely free in all of his choices in regards to like time, dating, lifestyle, all of that. And I want to continue on that theme because the more I look at like real examples of traditional masculinity through history and in the modern day, I just see how like so many of the things that like people commonly associate with masculinity are just like very modern conceptions and don't really like, I think, point most men in the right direction. So take for example this idea that like a man is kind of defined by how well he succeeds in business and how much money he makes, and that kind of like the Warren Buffett idea that like money works as a kind of high score system, and that you can kind of judge a man's level of attainment by how much money he's made. And that's obviously true to an extent. Someone that's totally irresponsible, and because of that they are like struggling financially and they've made poor decisions and they can't support their family and they've let people down and they've consistently made all the same mistakes over and over again, that's definitely not masculine or admirable in any way. But on the other hand, who is more masculine? Like Navy SEAL making like 40K a year, or Elon Musk? Now, again, all things being equal, like it's hard to say because you could say, oh, well, maybe there are SEALs that are really irresponsible and Elon Musk is this. But as I moved through more examples, just as I was thinking to myself today, it just became more and more apparent that like it's an easy answer to say that money is a high score, especially for men. But then I think about like achievement and just don't see money really as the best measure of achievement in especially like masculine, domains. Another weird example, but one that I think about a lot because what one of these people did is so rare. So two like popular comics, Garfield, Calvin and Hobbes. We all know Garfield, like hundreds of million-dollar franchise, and the guy kind of set out to do that. Like when he sat down to write it, he was like, I'm gonna make a popular, iconic character, and it's gonna make me a ton of money, and I'm gonna have fun doing that. And a lot of people would say that that is admirable, and it is in a sense. But is it more admirable? And really, take this seriously, is it more masculine than the case of the comic strip Calvin and Hobbes, where the guy wrote at like the absolute peak of his potential, and it's considered like one of the best comic strips, and to a lot of people, one of the best pieces of like modern popular art ever. He stopped at the peak when he was still extremely popular, height of his powers. There was no flag in quality whatsoever. He just stopped at his peak after just a few years and refused every single franchising deal. He didn't allow stuffed animals, movies, TV shows, which means, I mean, this was in the middle of the 90s. He had the most like popular comic in North America, and he refused everything. He probably turned down multiple million-dollar deals because of his integrity to his art. His integrity, let's even forget the idea of to his art, just his integrity to his chosen values. So who is more masculine, the Garfield guy or Calvin and Hobbes guy? Really? It just shows that like to an extent, money is a score, but in almost every particular case, beyond like extreme cases of like total incompetence, it doesn't really define someone as being like admirable, or even as someone that's like made responsible choices that convey that they have like a strong sense of integrity about what they create, what they do, what their values are. So it's kind of a continuation of what I already said, but I just think it's important to, when you accept something as a belief and that's going to control how you like go about your life, like think critically about real life examples of people that have like put that belief into practice. So compare the person that's put the belief that money is the ultimate high score, compare that person to someone who hasn't put that into practice. And let's say they're at the same level of competence. Like, let's take Mr. Rogers, obviously someone who is not running around trying to profit off his massive brand, versus like, I don't know what's comparable, like the people that made Barney and like made tons and tons of money and sold it all off and made an immense franchise. Like, which is more admirable? Which is more manly? It's kind of weird to like put that kind of behavior into one box, but like I think we all know in our hearts like which is more admirable, which we would like to do if we were creating something or moving towards something. And it's this truth with like not just artistic and creatively based businesses, even though all businesses are to a degree, but even if you're like an oil company, like there are oil companies that exist in the world that make admirable decisions that maybe forego profit, and then there are ones that don't. And I like to think that the first category succeeds greater, but whether or not they succeed more, I know very clearly which one has more masculine, in my mind, executives. Not the one that goes for quick profits, not the one that destroys without any care for the environment, but the one that thinks long term, that takes responsibility for the places that it goes. Like if masculinity is just grabbing everything you can to get a high score, then it's not something I'm interested in or I think anyone should really be interested in. That's all.